Hi, my name is Heather Shoenberger, and I'm an assistant professor of advertising at the Donald P. Belisario College of Communications at Penn State.
And I'm Anna McAlister. I'm an associate professor of marketing in the Garish School of Business at Endicott College in Beverly, Massachusetts. We love all things advertising and are the hosts of the new 3A's podcast.
This is the first podcast produced by the American Academy of Advertising. The American Academy of Advertising fosters research that is relevant to the field and provides a forum for the exchange of ideas among its academic and professional members. Through the Journal of Advertising, the current issues of Research in Advertising, and Journal of Interactive Advertising, and the annual conference proceedings, the Academy disseminates research findings and scholarly contributions to advertising education and the profession.
Today we're going to be discussing the value of a 3A's membership, and so this is a podcast that hopefully you'll all find enjoyable, but certainly we would encourage you to share with graduate students and perhaps junior faculty in your department who have yet to join 3A's. We think that by encouraging folks to listen to this podcast, they'll get an understanding of just how wonderful the organization is and also what benefits can accrue to them from having a 3A's membership. In this first segment, we have two guests, Jameson and Alex. Guys, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm Jameson Hayes. I'm an assistant professor at the University of Alabama in the Department of Advertising and Public Relations. My universe of research is anything emerging media marketing communication, specifically the intersection of brand and interpersonal relationships.
Hi, I'm Alexander Pfeuffer. I'm an assistant professor of advertising at the University of Georgia's Grady College. And in my research, I generally focus on online advertising in relation to attention, trust, and persuasion. So most recently, I've been exploring the effects of sponsorship disclosure and influencer marketing and how different types of disclosures affect attention to the message, persuasion knowledge, and trust toward an influencer or a brand.
I have a few questions for you, Alex. As a first-timer to the American Academy of Advertising conference, first of all, what drew you to advertising research?
So it was really a few factors that led to me pursuing advertising research. First, and I feel like many of us, I'm passionate about media and I'm curious about all the ways it influences our lives. And then I've always really liked to figure out how stuff works, what the underlying reasons are for the things that we see around us, for problem solving. And so this kind of manifests in many parts of my life, but it was great to find out that there was a job out there where people don't find that annoying and where that tendency is handy to have. And so, since then, I've enjoyed pursuing advertising phenomena because they're constantly evolving. I've been excited to look for explanations in a variety of fields, use a multitude of methods, and also being able to apply that research and exchange ideas with professionals.
And how about you, Jameson? What got you into advertising research early on?
Kind of purely accident. I probably went to a master's program for the wrong reasons. I was like, all right, I need a higher paying job. And then, I had a lot of really cool professors that challenged me, like Dean Krugman and some folks you see at conference every year. And I just kind of fell in love with it on accident. That and I graduated my master's in 2008. So it was a good thing I enjoyed research because the industry was not hiring at the time.
So it sounds like for our listeners, this is great, especially for grad students to hear that, sometimes careers are just happy accidents, right? That there's not always the perfect path and the perfect plan.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think also as now a professor to realize that sometimes the light bulb just comes on for students, even when they don't expect it. So students that may come into the master's program just like I did, not expecting to enjoy research or really go on to research, you may be the professor that helps them realize, oh, wait, I can do that for a living. And who knows? Never know what you're going to say in a classroom that impacts someone in a way that completely changes their career trajectory.
I feel like it's kind of cool to see that there isn't that one profile about, who's an academic, right? And so before I decided to do a PhD, I was thinking about becoming a mechanic. And there's a lot of similar ways of thinking in there, right? So you listen to things, you observe things, you test hypotheses. And I still do that as a hobby, but I'm excited to have chosen this.
I'm picturing this German dude under a shade tree in Georgia working on people's cars in the spare time.
You would be accurate. That does happen.
That's a great sentiment and a nod towards balance in life as well. So Alex, I wanted to move on and ask you why the AAA conference appealed to you.
So I had actually been to AAA a couple of times before this time, but I was volunteering at the conference as well. So I didn't have the opportunity to attend the mentor-mentee program. And so this time, or this past conference, I really applied because I had all these positive experiences at 3As before. But originally, I applied on recommendation of my advisor, Jisoo Ha, who told me that it was, just a great opportunity to share my research and learn from other advertising scholars.
And how about you, Jameson? I mean, you've been a 3A's member for quite a while now. Why do you stick with the Academy?
The reason I started and the reason I stick with it, I think, are two different things. I think you go because, much like Alex just said, Karen King said, Jameson, you're going to AAA. And then you stay because the first year I was there was Mesa, Arizona, and everything was new. I was volunteering, much like Alex was with Pat and Betty. That was the year that Dr. Krugman, Dr. Faber, and Bruce Vandenberg all retired. And they had this supposedly small reception at like 10 o'clock that night, and the room was standing room only. And that's when I realized, okay, these people are more than just colleagues. They're actually friends that enjoy hanging around one another and that have been working together for 30 years. And so it's really more than just the professional linkage that gets me going back. It's that AAA is a family.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, that's what we always say. It was certainly my experience. And I thought I was the only person who really thought of it as family. But then I've started recently hearing more and more people use that term to describe the Academy, which is wonderful. I'm glad that sentiment is there. And I think it really is what separates us from other conferences as well. So, Alex, what were some of your favorite parts of the conference? You said this was your first time really being able to participate rather than volunteer. What can you share, especially maybe thinking about information for first timers? What can they look forward to?
I think the most obvious answer is the sessions, right? So kind of all the ideas that people are pursuing can really inspire you to either get back to an idea that you had or finally get started on these research ideas that you had jotted down in a notebook but hadn't gotten to yet. And so that's been my experience, that once you start listening on all the cool ideas that other people pursue, it really kind of pumps you up to get back and to doing research. And then the other part is actually echoes what Jameson was saying, is at the president's reception, everyone shows up to that. And it was really cool to see because as a new member of Grady College, it was interesting to see how far the ties go of the college and how many people you have something in common with. And so kind of that balance between, the receptions that you attend to, kind of the social functions, as well as kind of the academic sessions. Those were really my favorites.
Well, it has been so much fun talking with you all today, and I really hope that our listeners will consider sharing this podcast to give others some insights into just how much fun it can be to join 3As.
We'd love to hear from members. We have an email account set up to pair with this podcast. It's aaa.podcast.ideas@gmail.com. Again, aaa.podcast.ideas@gmail.com. We'd love for you to email us with two things. Number one, any ideas for future segments, topics you would like to hear covered on the podcast. And number two, we're looking for an official name for this podcast. And since we have so many creative members, we'd love to hear your ideas on what this podcast should be called so that in future it can be searchable online.
We look forward to hearing from you.